guys, welcome back to another cash envelope video. It is the beginning of July, so it is time for us to get our monthly budget executed, done, do all the things we need to do, including stuffing our cash envelopes. So let's jump in, put some money in these bad boys. And hey, if we haven't had the chance to hang out before, my name is Nikki and I am a frugal living and family finance blogger, and I love sharing all of the tips and tricks that have helped our family budget better, demolish debt, skyrocket our savings, and still have heaps of frugal fun along the way. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, I would love if you would join in the fun. You can hit the subscribe button down below so you can be notified of all of my new and upcoming content. And of course, you can come and hang out with us over on Instagram or Facebook. You can even join us in our awesome little Facebook group, which is called the Frugbundant Community, where we are all about frugal living for a totally awesome, abundant life. Would really love to see you guys over there. So let's go and hang out. All right, well, it is the beginning of July, which means it is time for us to do our monthly budget. So if you are new to following us, we are an Australian family of 5. We paid off $73,000 worth of debt in just 22 months once we finally got our money stuff together. And these days we actually run a month ahead budget. We didn't always do this, but now that we are in a position with our finances that we have so much control over them, what we actually do is we stockpile all of our income from one month, and then on the first of a new month, we sit down, we divide it all up, we work out what we're going to do with our money, and that is what we live off for the month ahead, which is why we call it a month ahead budget. Now, it did take us a couple of years to get to this point. We haven't always done this, and it's not the easiest thing to jump into, but it has made our finances so much easier and really streamlined the whole process for me in particular, because I'm the person who typically deals with all the nitty-gritty budgeting stuff. So instead of having to worry about paying bills every single time we get paid, we just let it all build up in our account, and once a month I go ahead and do all of that fun stuff like paying all of our bills, transferring money across to all of our sinking funds, and pulling out cash for our cash envelopes. And so what we do is we have a split budget. Some of our expenses are paid via direct debits and things like that from our bank accounts. And then all of those tricky variable expenses, you know, those ones that can go completely out of control, blow out faster than what we would like to admit when we are tapping and swiping and spending without any kind of boundaries, like groceries. We have cash envelopes for those, and having cash for those variable expenses has really helped us control our spending in those categories. Now, one of those things that I get asked about a lot at the moment is how are we going using cash during this COVID-19 pandemic? And yes, a lot of retailers are asking us to use contactless payment methods if we can. So they would love it for you to tap your card or your phone or your Apple Watch or whatever. And we, in the beginning, the first month, 2 months, we did go cashless, and my anxiety levels went through the roof, and I really struggled to track where our spending was going. Even though we stayed on track with it, it was really quite stressful for me. So we have gone back to cash for these really key areas for us, and to be totally honest, we have not had a problem using cash out there in the world when we go to purchase things, particularly like groceries and fuel and those necessities. Hasn't been a problem. We haven't been denied service, we haven't been given filthy looks, nothing at all. It's just been like it always has been. So if you have been worried about going back to your cash envelopes because of everything that is happening at the moment, we've had success with it, and if you choose to go back to cash, I hope that you have success with it too. But just know that we are aware, obviously, that there are some restrictions going around at the moment, but our personal experience is we haven't had a problem with it. Rightio, well, here we have my very fancy cash envelope system. This is just a planner that I picked up from Kmart a little while ago now. It cost me $10, and you can still pick up a similar style of planner from Kmart Australia with the press stud clasp. Pretty sure the colors and design is a little bit different, but same sort of thing. So all I did was pull out the planner inserts and made my very own cash envelopes. And if you would like to see how easy it is to make your own cash envelopes, I have a video on how I made my earlier set of cash envelopes. I will link it up above so that you can go and check that out if you want to make your own cash envelopes. They are really, really simple. The first set of cash envelopes I made were a top open set of envelopes. These ones are a side. Haven't decided which ones I like better yet, but if you go and check out that video, you can see what the other ones looked like. And these ones are simply glued along the top, and the side flap is left over open. So basically exactly the same design, just glued in different spots. So let's jump in and have a look at what is happening in our budget for July. For a complete breakdown of our budget, I will put everything up over on my blog so you can see everything that we are doing in July. But basically, we are running a bare bones budget at the moment. We are focusing simply on the necessities and putting absolutely every single last cent that we can scrape together into our house fund. So we are saving up to buy a house. So we are running a bare bones budget at the moment so we can snowball as much as we possibly can and save. And actually everything that's happening at the moment is making that super easy. So we're not tempted as much to eat out and do a lot of those sorts of things. So the things that you can see here at the top in pink, these are all of the expenses that just simply come out of our transaction account. They're either going to go into our sinking funds or be direct deposits or direct debits and BPays from our online transaction account. And then all of the expenses down the bottom in blue, which are all these guys here, are all of our cash envelope expenses. And we've chosen categories, spending categories that are variable expenses. They fluctuate depending on how much we choose to spend in those categories. They're not fixed expenses. They are variable expenses. And we have decided this month we are going to go without things like our budget meeting date night, coffees, eating out, family fun, all of that. We decided this month we're going to go without again, so we can put all of that cash towards our big goal, which is buying a house. So let's get this stuff out of the way and jump into our cash envelopes. Our first category today is groceries, and I am really happy that we've actually got money left over from last month. So all of that's going to go into savings. I'm actually going to put that into a separate cash envelope, and I'm going to hold on to this. If we need to use it this month, we can. I'm not going to put it back into the bank just yet. I'm going to keep it as cash, but the idea is I'm going to take it out of this envelope and I'm going to put it separately and aside and try and hold on to as much of that as we can. And I'm also going to save as much as I can. Oh, that's upside down. Save as much as I can from this month's allocation for groceries, which is $600. And so this month we are going to focus again on utilizing all of the things that we've already purchased eating down all of those marked down goodies that are in the freezer, using up all of our supplies in the pantry, and holding on to as much of this $600 as we can. So what I like to do is divide this into two halves. So I'll have $300 for a fortnight, and that leaves me with a little bit of fluctuation on either side of our $150 a week allowance in a fortnight. So if one fortnight I spend a little bit more, I can pull back on the following fortnight and vice versa. But I don't have all $600 in that cash envelope the very first week I go grocery shopping, because that is way too much temptation. So I do limit the amount that I have available in that cash envelope when I go to the grocery store. Next up is our fuel allowance, and we are going to put $150 aside for fuel. And that is going to be for both of our cars. If we plan on doing some four-wheel driving or traveling or anything like that, I usually end up putting the extra fuel money for those things into our family fun envelope. That way I know this is specifically fuel to get us to and from all of our errands, getting the boys into work and all of those sorts of things, and that the extra fuel allocation, if we're going to go away, is for play money. So I do like to separate those out a little bit as well. Personal care envelope is for all things personal care related. So that'll be haircuts, hair appointments for me, and any kind of specialized personal care bits and pieces. Typically, I will put small day-to-day personal care items like toothbrushes and toothpaste and things like that just in with our groceries, and they'll come out of our grocery allocation. But if we're going for bigger purchases, if I was to buy makeup or anything like that, which honestly, I don't really wear that much makeup, so it doesn't really come out of here, but that would all come out of the personal care envelope as opposed to our grocery envelope. Up is our splash cash. This is our personal spending money. Shan and I get $50 each. So my $50 will go into this envelope. Shan's $50 will just go straight to him, and he will keep that in his wallet. And this is money for us to go and spend on whatever we want. It is our own our own personal spending money, so we can blow it however we want. We don't have to justify any of these purchases to the other person. They don't have to come out of any budgeting allocations. Last month I went and bought a whole heap of bullet journaling stickers and things like that, because that's what I'm into, and that's what I like to have a bit of fun with. Shan, on the other hand, bought a couple of things to go with his DJ gear, so that's what we do with splash cash. We can also use that at the moment, because we haven't allocated anything into our eating out, which is coffees and things like that. Family funds also not being funded. Our budget meeting date night. If we did want to do any of those things, we still have the option to use some money from our splash cash, and we can put in towards those categories, which we are not budgeting for this month because we are opting to save as much as we possibly can, but we still have a little bit of personal spending money. We do also have a miscellaneous envelope, which are for those bits and pieces that crop up that perhaps we've forgotten about. Oh, the speed wobbles there as I'm bumping everything. Oh, no. See how we go there. Okay, Nikki's breaking the internet. Miscellaneous is for all of those things that crop up that you don't necessarily think about or plan for, that you want to be able to do. So we're going to allocate just $50 to that. We are really going to try and keep our miscellaneous spending to a minimum, because we don't want to be purchasing things that we really haven't planned for, because we don't want to be impulse buying. But things come up. So rather than putting our whole budget off the rails, we would rather allocate a little bit of miscellaneous spending money. We have something called the buffer as well, and that is $50, which stays in our transaction account as a buffer from hitting zero, as a bit of a cushion in case there is a bill or a direct debit that we have forgotten about. But the idea is to hold on to as much of this miscellaneous spending money and our buffer as we possibly can. And if we don't use it, that is the aim of the game, and we can put that into savings next month. Last thing that I am going to put some money into this month is our clothing fund. This is a bit of a sinking fund. We don't actually need to purchase any clothes this week, but I do like to put a little bit aside every month so that when the time comes, end of season clearance sales and things like that, or if the kids happen to need any clothing, we actually have cash that is ready to go. And by having our clothing as a sinking fund, it means we can take advantage of all of those end of season clearance sales and things like that, and buy clothing that we need when it is really a really good price and as cheap as we can get it. So this month we are not putting any money aside for alcohol, family fun, date night, or eating out. Like I said, we do have a little bit of splash cash, so if we decide to go and do any of those sorts of things, we can use our personal spending money to fund those. Otherwise, the aim of the game this month is to save as much as we possibly can and get that into our house savings. And there you have it. That is this month's cash envelopes. All right, so there are our cash envelopes done for another month. Again, this really is a bare bones budget for us. We have cut absolutely everything that we can, still leaving just a little bit of room in there for a little bit of fun so we can focus on achieving our goals, which is to save up and buy a house. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and start doing all of the online banking. I'm going to fund all of our sinking funds, pay any bills that are due, and I'm going to go and transfer all of that money that is left over into our savings accounts. And I'm going to track it with our colouring in trackers, which is one of my favourite ways to track our financial goals and see how we are doing in the big picture. Don't forget, if you did enjoy this video, if you could please give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that, and it lets me know the kind of content that you guys are enjoying and that you want to see more of. You can hit that little subscribe button so you can be notified of when my new videos go up. I have heaps of new content in the works for you guys, and I would love to see you in the next video. Oh, and don't forget, if you are all about that budget life too, we should totally hang out. Why don't you come and say g'day? You can find me over on Instagram or Facebook at Nikki Beale, and I would love to get to know you a little bit better. All right, well, I will catch you later on. Bye.